We'd heard mixed things about Portland, and honestly, we weren't totally sure the stop was going to be worth it. We came here for one main reason. A longtime friend of mine was racing at Portland International Raceway, and we wanted to be there to cheer him on. But we were also traveling with our RV, staying inside a packed campground in the city, and trying to celebrate our kid's 12th birthday in a way that actually felt like us. So instead of treating Portland like a normal city trip, we decided to use it as a base camp. For the next few days, we'd find out whether Portland could deliver the kind of adventure we actually enjoy, or whether or not this was just going to be one of those stops we checked off and moved on from. We'd been traveling north for a couple of weeks, working our way up the West Coast and visiting some amazing places along the way. In our last episode, we were in Southwest Oregon making our way up Highway 101. But ever since we left Las Vegas, the goal's been to get to Portland by Mother's Day weekend. A friend of mine was racing in an SCCA event at Portland International Raceway, and that gave us a real reason to point the RV toward the city. But Portland was also going to be more than just a race weekend. The kids were turning 12, we had a few days in the area, and we wanted to see if we could turn this into something more memorable. The question was, could Portland actually work for our kind of travel? For our first day in the area, we headed east out of the city and onto the historic Columbia River Highway. And almost immediately, Portland started making more sense to us. Not necessarily because of the city itself, but because of how close it is to places like this. Our first stop was to Vista House at Crown Point. Unfortunately, the building was closed for renovations, so we didn't get the full experience there. But the view over the Columbia River Gorge was still incredible. From there, we made our way to Latourell Falls. This was exactly the kind of place we love finding on travel days. Easy enough to get to, not a huge commitment, but with a pretty big payoff. We were able to see the falls from above, then take a short hike to get to a different view from below. After spending so much time in deserts, red rocks, and coastal fog over the past few weeks, this felt like a totally different version of the West Coast. More green, more mossy, and more mist. Basically everything was damp and dramatic, which could be the official slogan for the Pacific Northwest. After Latourell Falls, we continued on to Bridal Veil Falls. This one took a little more walking, but it was still very doable and gave us another great waterfall stop without turning the whole day into a major hike. By this point, Portland was already doing better than expected. Mostly because so far our favorite part of Portland was leaving Portland. And honestly, that might sound like an insult, but for us, that's kind of the point. We're not usually big city travelers. We like nature, roadside stops, weird history, easy hikes, and places where the kids can get out and explore. And as a base camp for that, Portland was starting to make a pretty good argument. Before calling it a day, we headed back towards the city and made one more stop at Rocky Butte Natural Area and Joseph Woodhill Park. This ended up being one of those places I appreciated even more after researching it later. Rocky Butte is actually an extinct volcanic cinder cone, which I didn't realize at the time. I just knew we had found a great overlook. From the top, you get views of the Portland area, the airport, and if the weather cooperates, you can see Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, and other peaks in the distance. For a quick stop right in the Portland area, this was a pretty good way to end the day. It gave us a little bit of the city, a little bit of mountain scenery, and one more reason to think maybe the stop was going to work after all. The next 2 days were the reason we came to Portland in the first place. A longtime friend of mine was racing at Portland International Raceway in an SCCA event, and we spent the weekend at the track cheering him on. Saturday was mostly spent around the infield and pits. We got to catch up, watch the different classes run, and just take in the kind of grassroots racing atmosphere that we really enjoy. This wasn't a huge spectator event. It wasn't packed with fans or big grandstand energy. It was more low-key than that, and honestly, that made it really fun. You could get close to the cars, walk around the pits, and actually feel connected to what was happening instead of just watching from a distance.
Day 2 at Portland International Raceway. A lot colder today. A little bit damp, it's not too bad.
Sunday felt a little more like Portland. We watched from the bleachers outside of Turn 8, sitting in the rain with almost nobody else around. The stands were basically empty, which might sound bad, but it actually made for a pretty great viewing experience. No crowds, no lines, no fighting for seats. Just us, the rain, and race cars coming through the corner. The best part was our friend ended up with a podium finish, so the whole reason we came to Portland actually paid off. And that's one of those things we really like about traveling this way. Sometimes the destination is not just about sightseeing. Sometimes it's about being able to route yourself towards people, events, and moments that matter. This stop gave us a chance to support a friend, spend a weekend at the track, and make Portland feel personal instead of just being another pin on the map.
6 West.
After 2 days at the track, we had one more big mission before leaving the Portland area. The kids were turning 12, and in our family, a birthday celebration does not always mean a traditional party. Sometimes it means donuts, a road trip, a giant cheese factory, and accidentally discovering an activity that makes me question my relationship with heights. Which, as it turns out, is exactly where this day was headed.
Wait a second.
We started the birthday adventure with donuts from Pip's Original Donuts. And really, if you're going to start a birthday road trip, tiny fresh donuts are not a bad way to do it. From there, we headed west out of Portland towards Tillamook. Our first major stop was the Tillamook Creamery. This was a fun family stop because it checked a lot of boxes. It was easy to visit, free to walk through, had a small museum area, and you could watch part of the production process from above. And of course, there were free cheese samples. Which means technically this was educational and also lunch adjacent. This is the kind of travel math I can get behind. Tillamook was not a huge time commitment, but it was a great stop for the kids and it fit the day perfectly. Low stress, easy visit, something different. Exactly what we needed before heading further toward the coast.
One of each? Awesome.
What do you think?
Wow.
I like that one too. It's a black pepper.
Smoked.
Yeah.
Smoked black pepper.
From Tillamook, our plan was to head towards Cannon Beach. We wanted to see some of the famous beach rock formations, especially ones people recognize from the movie The Goonies. But this is where the day did not quite go as planned. Parking was a mess, the beaches were crowded, and we couldn't find a way to make it work with the time and energy we had. And to make it even better, I somehow managed not to film any of it, which is a great strategy for somebody making a travel video. So Cannon Beach is going back on the list for another trip. This time it just wasn't happening. As we continued north, we stumbled across High Life Adventure Park in Seaside, and the kids were immediately interested. Now, I'd like to say we carefully researched this, planned ahead, and made a responsible, well-informed family decision. But what actually happened was the kids saw an adventure course, got excited, and suddenly we were putting on harnesses. And because it was their birthday adventure, we decided to go for it. Despite the fact I'm not exactly what you'd call a heights person, it ended up being one of the most fun things that we've done together as a family. The kids were excited, we were all a little nervous, and once we got going, it turned into one of those experiences where everybody was pushing themselves just enough. Not a dramatic, life-changing, inspirational music kind of way, more in a, why is this platform moving and who approved this kind of way. But that's what made it fun. This is exactly the kind of thing we are trying to say yes to more often. Something unexpected, something active, something the kids will actually remember. For a birthday adventure, this was pretty hard to beat. This also became the moment where the Portland stop really started to win us over. Because we didn't come here expecting this. We came for a race weekend, hoping to see a few things nearby, and somehow ended up climbing around an adventure park on the Oregon coast for the kids' birthday.
What difficulty level was it?
Well, I didn't do the rope, but I did the wire.
All right. You did it. All right.
All right. What do you think?
Jumped in the tap floor. She's like, you're free falling and then it catches you. So now I'm ready to go skydiving. Because it's going to be like that with a parachute. You're free falling and then your parachute just catches you.
Yay!
I think that the third level is too much for me. Especially for everything up there. Second, also a bit too much.
That's okay. Did you have fun?
Yes.
I absolutely hate heights. Elizabeth loves this kind of stuff. Lauren loves it. William's kind of like me. And we all did it, and we all had a great time. So, Seaside, Oregon, come check this place out if you need a little thrill. They do it by the hour, by 2 hours. There's multiple levels. There's multiple different challenges. After the adventure park, we made our way to Lewis and Clark National Historic Park.
We have visited several Lewis and Clark sites across the country, so there was no way we were going to be this close and skip this one. It was late in the day, so we didn't have time to do any of the hiking or explore as much as we would have liked to. But we did make it to the visitor center, we got our national park cancellation stamps, and the kids added another junior ranger badge. This was a quick stop, but it still felt like part of a bigger story for us. As we travel across the country, we keep running into different pieces of the Lewis and Clark route, and this was one more piece of that puzzle. So even though we were tired and starting to run out of daylight, it was worth the stop. We had one more place we wanted to see before making the long drive back to Portland. The wreck of the Peter Iredale. This is one of the most photographed shipwrecks in the United States, and somehow, after a day where not everything had gone according to plan, the weather actually cooperated for us. The light was beautiful, the beach was calm, and the shipwreck made for one of the coolest final stops we could have asked for. After Doughnuts, cheese, missed beach parking, an adventure course, a national park site, and a whole lot of driving around Northwest Oregon, ending the day here felt pretty perfect. We didn't stay for the full sunset because we were tired, hungry, and still had a couple hours to drive back to the RV. Which is usually the part of the travel video where reality shows back up and reminds you that someone still has to drive home. But even with a shorter visit, the stop was absolutely worth it, and it gave the whole Portland chapter a much better ending than we expected. So, is Portland worth it as an RV family base camp? For us, yes. But not exactly in the way we expected. Our RV park had us packed in pretty tight, and we really didn't explore any of downtown Portland. But as a base camp for exploring the greater Portland area, this really worked well for us. But this stop gave us waterfalls, racing, a birthday adventure, and one of our favorite coastal sunsets. And maybe that's the lesson for us. Sometimes a place doesn't have to be the perfect destination by itself. Sometimes it just has to put you close enough to the experiences that you're looking for. So yes, for our kind of travel, Portland surprised us. Next up, we head to Washington State, where we check off a few more national parks that we've never been to. Officially welcome to Washington.